Alright people, what is happening? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2021 My Team series here on the channel. Today it is the first episode of season 4. Hopefully you did check out the pre-season episode of season 4 so you understand what's going on in this season. We had major driver changes, the transfers were crazy, we picked up our new teammate as well, and we unveiled our new livery on the car. If you didn't check out the pre-season video, make sure you go and have a look. We've spoiled our teammate on the screen right now. We of course picked up the GOAT of Formula 1, Lewis Hamilton, as our teammate. It's going to be our first race alongside Lewis in this episode. First episode of course starting off in Bahrain. Something I didn't show you is in the pre-season video though. Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez are free agents. Now I didn't see those two in a team, of course. We're going through the teams right now just to refresh people's memory. If you didn't see that pre-season video, here is all the driver transfers and stuff. But Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez, free agents. That is absolutely huge. Two big drivers, experienced drivers. And it's weird to see someone like Ferrari go with Guan Yu Zhou as their secondary driver. McLaren picking up Yuki Tsunoda. Red Bull picking up Callum Ilott as their secondary driver, but letting Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon go as free agents. Crazy to me. I don't know what's going on there, but it is what it is. Like I say, we start off the season at Bahrain, so hopefully we can have a good race here in Bahrain, and let's get straight into it once we finish going through the teams. Alfa Romeo, the last team there, Giovinazzi and Latifi at Alfa Romeo. You can see the vehicle comparison chart. We are miles ahead of any competition, so hopefully somebody can upgrade their car and try and give us a bit of a battle going into this season. But let's get into it, boys. First season with Lewis Hamilton as our teammate. Brand new engine in the car, so we picked up that Mercedes engine. Brand new livery on the car, reminiscent of that old McLaren I did talk about in the pre-season video. You can see it there. The silver arrows are back in Formula 1 in the form of the Sasuke racing car. Let's jump into qualifying. We're currently sat in P7 after a poor 125 in off like banker lap there. Now coming through the final corner to start our run down the straight here. We're going to have a massive slipstream from Dan Ticktum as we head down the straight, hitting the DRS zone as early as possible, of course. Massive slipstream from Dan Ticktum, so I'm thinking this could be a very nice lap indeed. We're already up in the delta before we even hit the first braking zone. For turn 1, managed to get the car rotated nicely through turn 1 there, and then uphill now through turn 2. 3.5 tenths up in the delta. This is looking like a very saucy lap, and it's going to have to be because we're only in P7 with, on paper, the best car in the grid. Bit rough coming out of that right-hander there, but yeah, let's get into this section. One of my favourite sections on this circuit right here. Be very careful of the curbs through that little section there. Can throw the car off massively if you hit them in the wrong way. All of the curbs in Bahrain can throw your car off if you hit them in the wrong way, especially these coming up here as we hit that downhill cambering left-hander. That's the best I've ever hit that, I think, in my entire career as a driver, and I don't think I'll ever hit it better than that. Every other time I miss the apex completely, but getting into this left-hander now, it's jumping straight into the flat-out sweeping right-hander. Got stumbled over my words there. Very careful on the throttle through that right-hander. I called it flat-out, but if you go too flat-out and too aggressive with the steering input, the back end of the car will step out. And you don't want to see that, of course. You don't want the back end of your car stepping out. We miss our braking zone there by about 10 metres. So we do end up coming slow out of the final turn there. We're still going to be 9 tenths up as we cross the line, and it's enough to put us in P3 ahead of Callum Ilott, but behind Max Verstappen, who separates us from our teammate Lewis Hamilton. If you have not seen the little edit that I made for Lewis Hamilton, I included it in the pre-season video, and I also uploaded it on Sunday night, so make sure you check that out on the channel. It's doing well so far for views, and if you have came from that video as a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit like on this video for more. Can Lewis Hamilton win his 8th Drivers' Championship? Probably. You know, in real life, probably, hopefully, but can he do it in the game as well? Of course, in our first season, Bottas won the Drivers' Championship. Then in the second season and the third season, Verstappen won it back-to-back. Can Hamilton break that run of Max Verstappen. Can he break it in real life as well? Of course, Verstappen, the current holder of the World Drivers' Championship. But back to our lap in the game here. Can we out-qualify our teammate Lewis Hamilton? We've gone purple in Sector 1, green in Sector 2. 3/10 up in a delta, heading into the final corner now. Missing our braking zone again, or braking point, by a little bit. But we actually go up in a delta because we got it better than the previous lap. 3.8 tenths quicker than our previous lap. It's enough for P2, but it's only Q1, of course. But yeah, we are still nearly 5 tenths behind Lewis Hamilton, just showing the pace that Lewis does have. Of course, if anyone thought he was washed up, he's not. Yeah, he's still got pace. Guan Yu Zhou struggling there in the Ferrari, only down in P16. Now, I've said this before in the pre-season video, you know, I mean, it's a good car, but you still need to be a good driver to drive the good car. You see his teammates, Charles Leclerc, up in P8. 8 places separating the teammates of Ferrari there. Very weird that they did pick him up and not go for someone better. But getting into Q2 now, we set a blistering lap and was about to get a massive slipstream from Yuki Tsunoda across the line. But I realised it's Q2. The Q2 tyre rule applies, of course. And I wanted to start the race on mediums, so I couldn't set this lap on softs because I wouldn't be able to improve on mediums probably. So last second I managed to hit the brakes, dive into the pits, come in and change for a set of medium tyres, and that is what we've got on right now as we miss the apex ever so slightly of turn 1 and then head up the hill now into the first DRS zone of this lap. You can see Callum Ilott in P12 trying to qualify on the medium tyres as well in the Red Bull. Another guy where I'm just like, why did Red Bull get him? They could have got anyone. It's Red Bull. They won the drivers and the constructors last year. They could have got anyone, and they got Callum Ilott. I was going to call him a rookie, but he's not a rookie, of course, because he spent half a season with us in season 1. If you remember that, we had Dan Tickton for half the season and got rid of him, and got Callum Ilott in our second seat. But Guan Yu Zhou again struggling. P15 for Guan Yu Zhou here in Q2 in that Ferrari, which is the 5th best car on the grid on paper. Williams, of course, had the 4th best car on the grid. Absolutely crazy to see. But coming through this flat out right, and like I keep calling it flat out, but what I was doing, I was keeping it in 6th gear and then upshifting to 7th mid corner. I felt like if I went into it in 7th, out the back end was just going. So I kept it in 6th, then went up into 7th mid corner. Coming through the final corner now into the DRS, across the finish line home straight. It's good enough for P5. It's a 125.4 pretty much, and it's good enough for P5 behind the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, the Mercedes of Carlos Sainz, and it's good enough at the end of the session for P8. Lewis Hamilton, our teammate, in P3, getting through also on the medium tyres, and of course, if you do know about Bahrain, the one stop is the way to go at Bahrain. The one stop is so overpowered here. There's Guan Yu Zhou out in Q2, struggling in that Ferrari, out in P15. Yuki Tsunoda also out in Q2. His McLaren teammate Daniel Ricciardo getting through in P10, just on the cusp of cut-off. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be, depending on, of course, how this Q3 session goes, boys, it feels like at the moment it's going to be a 2-man race between me and Lewis Hamilton. The one-stop is so overpowered at Bahrain, so for us to be the only guys doing a one-stop, you can't really do a one-stop and start on the softs. The tyre degradation is too high on the softs to do that. So it looks like it's only me and Lewis who did that, you know. And it's weird because it's not like there's a lot of people competing for places. Everyone else apart from us seems to be a similar level on the chart in terms of vehicle performance. So it's not like they needed to try and out-qualify each other. They could have all went on mediums and all had a one-stop race. But it is what it is, and it's going to be me and Lewis starting on the mediums. But let's see how high up we can start actually on the grid. Our banker lap in Q3 was only good enough for P5. Would like to start a bit higher than that. Can we get a pole position? I think we've only ever had 2 pole positions in our lifetime. I think it was Monza last year or last season, and of course Russia last season, or have I just made that up? I don't know. I feel like we've only earned 2 pole positions. It might even be 1, but coming across the line there, trying to nick a little bit of a slipstream from Ricciardo, who dives into the pits. It's a 124.3, good enough for P3. Let's return to the garage, change tyres. We had a brand new fresh set of softs with no tyre wear on them, so Can we improve on our time here? Coming through turn 1, missing the apex completely through turn 1. That's going to cost us time. You can see we're a 10th down in the delta. Not what we like to see. Max Verstappen, or Callum Ilott, I forgot which one it was there, of the Red Bulls, has overtaken us, pushed us down into P4. We are ahead of the two Mercedes. Of course, Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris in the two Mercedes. Lando returns to Formula 1 on the same team. The ex-McLaren teammates are now together at Mercedes. What a driver partnership that is for Mercedes. But yeah, this lap, I don't even know why I've included this lap. We're 4 tenths down, bouncing over the curb there, and we're going to have to abandon this lap. We're not going to be able to improve in the session or on this lap, of course. And it puts us P4 on the starting grid for the first race of the season. Callum Ilott in P2 on the grid, but our teammate Lewis Hamilton taking pole position by 5 tenths. 1.1 second quicker than us, Lewis went in quali there. He must have got a slipstream over the line or something like that, because that is a ridiculous pace gap between the top 4 there. But let's get into the race and see where we can finish. It's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. Let's get into the race.
All come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best at turn 1 of course, and then another soon into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into the tight left-hander of turn 10. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as we get another year of Formula 1 underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice. And they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position and Callum Ilott completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, the owner driver, Lando Norris and Sainz, Gasly, Leclerc, Aitken and Daniel Ricciardo, Russell, Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher and Fernando Alonso, Joe, Stroll, Antonio Giovinazzi and Nicholas Latifi, Lundgaard, Mazepin, Tigtum and Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
There we go, boys. There is the starting grid. We're getting into the race here. Of course, the one-stop strategy, medium hards. Like I did say, our teammate Lewis Hamilton on pole position. You can see him there on the front of the grid. It is lights out and away we go for the first time in Season 4. And it looks like Callum Ilott off to a flying start there in the Red Bull. And heading into Turn 1, Callum Ilott is ahead of our teammate Lewis Hamilton into Turn 1. Max Verstappen up the inside of Lewis. Can he make a move on Lewis? Can we make a move on Lewis? We're up into P2. How did that happen? We're up into P2 around the outside of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen in Turn 1, and we managed to get up into P2 from the start. Callum Ilott off to a flying start, of course, on the softer compounded tyres. Let's see a replay of the start there. Me and Lewis on the mediums, Verstappen and Ilott on the faster, soft compounded tyre. Look at that start from both Verstappen and Ilott. We had a good start compared to the cars behind us as well. We're heading into Turn 1. Lewis turns in just in time before we rear-ended him like Bottas in Hungary did to Lando Norris. And there we go. Look at that. That's a great overtake. Great move from us as Verstappen and Hamilton were battling through Turn 1. We managed to go up ourselves and make a move. When we see a door open, you know, we take that opportunity and we managed to get up into P2. Lando Norris is overtaken Max Verstappen. He's up into P4. They're battling Verstappen back into P4. But can we catch up to the Red Bull of Callum Ilott? Like I say, good car from the Red Bull, second best on the grid on paper, but Callum Ilott not the best or highest rated of driver. We hook our back tyres on the curb there, and like I mentioned in qualifying, the curbs are very unforgiving at Bahrain if you do manage to hook onto them. But here we go, a few laps later, DRS is now open. We have fell out of DRS range to the car in front. Callum Ilott is 2.6 seconds ahead of us, but Lewis Hamilton behind us by 6/10. He's going to be in DRS range as we head into this DRS zone now, coming out of that turn there. I forgot the turn number. I used to always say it, turn 10 I think it might be, I'm not too sure. But yeah, good defensive driving from us there to keep Lewis behind us. In previous seasons, you know, with Nico Rosberg in season 2, also with Michael Schumacher in season 3, I didn't really battle a teammate. I didn't fight against a teammate because I knew, you know, Michael was faster than me, Nico was faster than me, and I wanted them to win to get the team better, you know, and get the team more points. But in season 4, I'm being ruthless. I don't care about that. I'm battling Lewis. I'm never going to let Lewis just go past me unless it is for the greater good of the team or something like that. But yeah, like I say, you saw it there with defending against Lewis Hamilton, whereas in previous seasons I would just let him pass. Here he goes again up the inside. Lewis trying to make a move on us, and I'm not having any of it. Max Verstappen right on Lewis's tail. We've got a little bit of a DRS train going with these 3 cars here. I'm holding Lewis up while he gets DRS on us, and then he's holding Max up behind him, who gets DRS on him. So the gap to Callum Ilott, I wish I could tell you, but the game's glitched out and it says it's 1 minute and 25 seconds, which I don't think it is, because that would mean Ilott is a whole lap ahead, and you can see him up the road. He's not a whole lap ahead, so I don't know why the leaderboard thing on the side is glitched out there, but it is what it is. There goes Lewis Hamilton with DRS, and he gets up the inside before the braking zone, and he gets that overtake there up into P2. We are down into P3 as we chase down our teammates. We have a lot of battery to use here. Of course, our ERS upgrades in the engine department of the R&D tree maxed out, so our ERS recovery is very good, and you can pretty much just turn the battery on for the whole lap and not drain it. You know, it's very very advanced. Our car, I don't think other cars on the grid would be able to do that. Here we go though, DRS. Can we line up a move on Lewis Hamilton, pushing ourselves onto the grass there, and we managed to get a move into turn 1. The easiest overtaking zone in Bahrain easily is down that straight with DRS and then into turn 1. Very, very easy indeed to make that move stick. We do have later on in this race, boys, and girls, if any girls are watching, you know, gender inclusive. Well, let's stop talking about that. There goes Lewis Hamilton up the inside. What a move that is. And Max Verstappen as well is going to go up the inside. We've lost 2 places in one corner there. Lewis absolutely flying ahead. Max gets DRS as well, and we don't. Let's see a replay of what happened there. Coming through the hairpin, very slow, coming out of it. A big moment of oversteer for us, coming out of the hairpin there, as you can see. And Lewis down into this downhill left-hander. Lewis flies up the inside. I try and give him room, and in doing so, Max Verstappen also makes an overtake there. If you give Max Verstappen and you know, an opportunity like that, he's going to take it. So we've lost 2 places there in one corner. Can we try and stick with the Red Bull of Verstappen and overtake him and get back to our teammate Lewis Hamilton, who has pulled away by a whole second already ahead of us? So that is not what we like to see, you know. Can we try and get past Verstappen? We are going to stick within DRS range for the main straight now as we come up to it. There's only one corner left before we get to that straight. Can we have a little look up the inside? Can we go for it? There's a bit of contact there. Max Verstappen turns into us. That is poor driving from me. What was I thinking? That was a send from way downtown. And we can see a replay of that now and see just how bad the contact was from way downtown. I don't even know why I did this. This was so unnecessary. But Max turns completely into our side pod. Hopefully that has not done any damage to our barge boards on the left-hand side of the car or the side pod of the car. That would be a disaster. And I was going to say hopefully Max doesn't have any damage, but I don't care about him. And speaking of Red Bulls going into the pits, there's Callum Ilott into the pit, so he gives up his first place spot, and Lewis Hamilton is now in P1. Of course, Callum Ilott on the soft tyres, he's going to be running a 2-stop strategy. Carlos Sainz also into the pits, running that 2-stop strategy. All the cars who started on mediums will be running a 2-stop. Yuki Tsunoda in P4, excuse me, George Russell and Michael Schumacher, Mick Schumacher, Michael's son. In the other Williams, the two Williams in P3 and P5 is what I'm trying to say. They're on medium tyres running the one-stop. Yuki Tsunoda in that McLaren also running the one-stop strategy. But also, already, a few laps later, Callum Ilott back into P3. This guy's got some serious pace. He's got the fastest lap of the race as well. This guy is showing that he's not just some idiot rookie that's only had half a season in Formula 1. And he is actually a solid driver. He's ahead of his teammate, Max Verstappen, by I don't know how many car lengths. Is that even? That's not even what I'm trying to say, bro. Anyway, Lewis Hamilton goes off into the pits. This is going to be our in lap now. Can we have a good in lap? We need to push as hard as we can. Those medium tyres are coming off the car. Lewis going for that undercut. He's onto the hard tyres. Will that benefit Lewis, or is going for the overcut the better option, which is what we're of course doing? I guess it was just whoever was in front was going to box earlier, and Lewis was obviously in the lead of the race. So we're trying to manage that gap as well to Callum Ilott behind us. He's 19.8 seconds behind. Pit stop is about 21 or 22 seconds here, I want to say, on average. So yeah, we pull off into the pits, checking that delta in the top left, checking the map in the bottom left as well, to see where Callum Ilott and Lewis Hamilton are. There's also a yellow flag if you check the map in the bottom left, which we'll get to in a moment. Solid pit stop from the lads, 2.4 seconds on the pit stop. Lance Stroll out of the session. Let's go and check that before we get back to this fight between the front three. That's a big moment from Lance Stroll. Very, very weird moment from Lance Stroll. And yeah, I guess engine failure, I don't really know, because the smoke graphics are very inconsistent on this game, but he's out of the race. As we get back to our race, coming out of the pits, down to turn 1, Callum Ilott and Lewis Hamilton battling for the lead there. We absolutely overshoot our braking point coming out of the pits. Very hard to judge, but Ilott takes the lead of the race. Hamilton in P2. He's looking to make a move before we get to this corner. They're going to be wheel to wheel coming out of this corner now. Hamilton right on the gearbox of Callum Ilott. And these two battling has allowed me to catch up to them. Of course, they would have been on fresher tyres earlier. We boxed after them. The overcut has worked in our favour, because if you do remember, Hamilton was ahead by over a second. We weren't in DRS range. Now we have caught up to the top two in this race, and we are within that DRS range, and we're about to get into the DRS straight now. Very slow that corner there for me though, that downhill left, always the case. So hopefully we can stick with them, and we do stick with them as we get to the next DRS detection zone. You can see I've had the battery on there as well for most of the lap, which is what we can afford to do with how advanced our car upgrades are. But on these hard tyres now, down to turn 1, there's Lewis. He pulls out to the slipstream of Callum Ilott, looking to make a move into turn 1. Lewis Hamilton up the inside of Callum Ilott. He's up into P1 in turn 1 there. Great move from Lewis, and we get a great slingshot up the hill here, hitting that DRS zone. A little bit of a slipstream from Callum Ilott later on the brakes, and we are up into P2. Great overtake from us to overtake Callum Ilott. And we are up into P2, a purple sector 1 there, showing the pace that we've got. Can we take that fastest lap point away from Red Bull and away from Callum Ilott? That would be very nice indeed. Great start to the race, or start to the season, if we could do that. Here's a replay of that overtake on Callum Ilott, and as you can see, as we head into the braking zone, it looks like he locked up one of his tyres there. You saw the bit of smoke coming away from his wheels. I'm not sure which one it was. It looked like the rear right actually locked up. But getting back to our car, we're chasing down Hamilton. We are within that DRS range of Lewis Hamilton. And what I was going to say before, when I said ladies and gentlemen, or whatever I was going on about, make sure you stay tuned till the end of this race. Of course, if you're this far into the race, why would you click off it now? But we have one of my favourite overtakes I've ever done later on in this race. Who is it on? You'll have to find out as we get later on in the race. But yeah, make sure you stay tuned till the end of the video. Hit that subscribe button and hit like on the video as we chase down the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, trying to make it an 8th-time world champion this season. Can we do anything to stop that, and can we win our first Drivers' Championship? You know, it's been 4 seasons without a title in the Constructors or the Drivers' department, but we set a very fast lap there. Lewis Hamilton sets an even faster one now. He takes that fastest lap point away from Callum Ilott, and we are only managing to stay in DRS range. We're not managing to get close enough for an overtake. on Lewis. Can we do it now? Heading up the hill, we've got DRS on Lewis and a big slipstream, but we're still going to have to tuck him behind. He's just got such pace, Lewis Hamilton does. And, you know, I thought that lap from us was going to be the fastest lap. You know, we had a purple sector one on the previous lap, but obviously not good enough. Lap 16 here, there's still 13 laps left in this race. Anything could happen. Max Verstappen down in P6. Of course, Max was P2 on the grid, I do believe, and he was battling us at the start, right behind Lewis at the start in DRS range. Now he's down in P6. Lando has overtaken him and pushed him down the grid a bit further. Not what we like to see. Well, not what you like to see if your name is Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc down in P18. Don't know what's happened to him. Maybe he's pit twice. I don't know, because of course they're running the double strategy, or whatever I want to call it. The two-stop strategy. There we go. That is the name I was looking for. But we're doing very well here to keep in range of Lewis Hamilton and not let Lewis pull too far ahead of us. Of course, we've got Callum Ilott behind us on the medium tyres, 2.2 seconds, so we're doing well to pull the gap to Ilott, not let him get any close to us. And there is the fastest lap of the race for us. 2 red sectors, but a purple sector 3 allows us to get the fastest lap. We go around the outside of Lewis Hamilton through turn 1, and can we make a move stick here? Up the hill, we're going to go into P1. It's a great move as we overtake Lewis and hit that DRS zone. We were behind Lewis in the detection zone, so we managed to get DRS even though we overtook him. Up into P1 now. How long can we keep this position for? Can we keep it for another 12 laps and win the race on the first race of the season? That would be very nice. You know, we would like to start off the season as we mean to go on with a race win. That would be ideal. You know, I mean, that's what, of course, what you hope for. But Lewis is not going to give up that easily. You can see how close he is there. Always within like the view of our camera, of our rear view mirror as well. Always checking behind me to see where Lewis is, and we go off the track there. It's clear to see who's who. You know, if you're looking at the screen and thinking, I don't know which one's who, because there's 2 silver cars on the screen with purple on them, you can tell who's who by who stays on the track and who goes off. The person going off is of course me, but we're wheel to wheel through this flat out right hander now, and Lewis gets the drop on us and he gets up into P1. Great move from Lewis Hamilton in a very high speed section of the circuit to make a great overtake there. I did back out a little bit. I didn't want to cause a collision, especially in such a fast zone of the track. If we made any sort of contact there, it was both of us out of the race for sure. And I don't want to see, you know, a Nico Rosberg Lewis Hamilton relationship where you know, we crash out a lot. But again, down to turn 1, easiest overtaking zone on the circuit, and we'll back up into P1. And it's, you know, 9 laps left in P1. Can we make it stick? I said that 3 laps ago and we lost it after 2 laps, which hopefully we can stay for a bit longer than 2 laps. But of course, as you've just seen there, even if Lewis gets ahead, it does seem quite easy to take the position back. All we need to do is be within that DRS range down into turn 1. But now we are approaching back markers, and this is where it gets interesting in a race once you start getting those blue flags in front of you. Because if we can get past Mazepin, or if we can get past anyone who's been shown a blue flag before Lewis can, that could help our race massively, especially coming into corners like this one here. Can Lewis get past before the braking zone, or is he going to get held up by Mazepin? And we can just check the delta in the top left. He looks like he got held up like by about 2 tenths there. Absolutely huge from Nikita Mazepin. And we're just going to keep chasing down. You can see another car in front of us, but we're in P1, so of course that is a guy that we're about to lap. So we're just trying to keep our pace going. The tyres don't really matter here because it's hard tyres, and yeah, they're designed to last till the end of the race from this position. But can we get in DRS range of one of the back markers to help pull us along a little bit? Pause. There goes Lewis Hamilton up the inside though. Can he make that move stick? He tried it a few laps ago and it did work out. He's going to be around the outside of us as we head through this right hander, and again I yield the position a little bit because I didn't want to push too hard because we were about to have another high speed collision there. But big brain move from me. We stay behind Lewis Hamilton heading into the last corner of this lap, because there is the DRS detection zone on the floor, that white line. That is where you decide who gets DRS. Lewis Hamilton, what are you doing, bro? I swear, that was a seedy move he's just done there, bro. He took off a little bit of the front wing as well. We don't actually notice it, and I asked Jeff, is there any damage, and he doesn't say anything. He doesn't, like, he literally didn't answer me when I asked him. But in the replays later on, I did check, and we did have front wing damage because of that move from Lewis Hamilton there. Very weird from him. He just, like, twitched on the road and took our front wing. But we're back up into P1. Like I was saying, big brain move to stay behind and get DRS down into turn 1, and we're back up into P1, and there is the Haas of Dan Ticktum, the car in front, our teammate from season 1 of the career mode, or at least season 1, or at least season half. I was going to say he was only with us for half a season. Remember, we got rid of him after that massive crash in Zandvoort. Still one of the craziest moments on this entire, like, career mode. Our teammate crashed us out in, you know, what's it called, in the first season. Crazy. Anyway, back to the race. We still haven't caught this guy, Dan Ticktum. Can you just slow down a little bit, please, mate, and just give us a bit of DRS? It's the least you could do after how much money we had to spend on repairing your car in season 1. There we go. He's listening to us. Look how close we are to him now. We're going to have a bit of a slipstream from him. Not going to get DRS unless we stay behind him a little bit longer, but, you know, there's no time for that with Lewis Hamilton right on our tail. You don't have time to slow down. You never have time to slow down in a race, but especially when you can see Lewis Hamilton in your rear view mirror. Callum Ilott is 24 seconds behind us now. Like I mentioned in quali, it's a two-man race between me and Lewis. The one-stop is way too overpowered here in Bahrain. Speaking of the one-stop being overpowered, George Russell in P4 on the hard tyres in that Williams car. Good on George Russell. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton's teammate in real life this year, heading into this season. Speaking of Lewis Hamilton, there he goes, back up into P1. We're just trading places here in these final, like, 10 laps of the race, or the final, like, 15 laps of the race. It was just me and Lewis trading places for P1. But who is going to be in P1 on lap 29 of 29 as we cross the line? That is the big question. George Russell loses a place there. Max Verstappen up into P4, and Max has taken the fastest lap of the race. Of course, I mentioned before, he was down in, like, P7, Max was, or P6, I think. But he's back up into P4, showing some pace, getting the fastest lap point of the race. Still 20 seconds behind his teammate, though. Callum Ilott, what is going on there at Red Bull? Two-time world champion Max Verstappen on our career mode. 20 seconds behind his rookie teammate, Callum Ilott. Crazy to see. But, yeah, we're just going along with this race, trying to stick with Lewis, trying to get DRS, and we're going to get it again, of course. We're a bit far away. I don't know if we'll be able to make a move here and take the lead again, but we're using all of the battery that we have left, using that DRS, trying to get in the slipstream here. We have a little look up the inside. Lewis comes across to cover it. Can we go around the outside? I tried to get the switch back into turn 1. Doesn't work out. Lewis covers it very nicely. Good defensive driving from Lewis Hamilton there. And as you can see, like I say, we are battling each other even though we are on the same team. We both want to win here. I have a little look up the inside, but it's not going to be a big enough gap or a big enough opportunity to overtake there. But coming to the end of lap 25 now. Only a few laps left in this race, boys, and we are needing to stick with Lewis, stick within that DRS range if we do want to make any sort of impact here towards the end of the race. We're using so much battery, we're actually running out of deployment before we get to the end of the lap. But down into turn 1 now from way downtown. Can we send one on Lewis Hamilton? Late on the brakes into turn 1, right up alongside him as we come through turn 2, up the hill. We're going off the outside line, up the hill into the DRS zone, and we are up into P1. What an overtake that is. What a move that is from me. That is one of my favourite overtakes I have ever done on this game. Just solid braking from me. You know, sometimes our overtakes come from just track position or stuff like that, traction, but this was just straight up brakes. Who can go later on the brakes? And it was me to go from way downtown right up alongside Lewis, and then as we come through up the hill we get the better line, better traction, like I do say. But what a move that is. It was so satisfying. That was when I was racing this and recording this video. I was like, yeah, that is a good overtake. I need to make sure we get that and get the replays of that one. But like I mentioned before, what is crucial is sticking with these back markers to try and get, you know, slipstream, try and get a bit of DRS from the back markers. I think we had a DRS there from Nicholas Latifi, who was brought out a yellow flag by slowing down so much to let Lewis Hamilton pass. But obviously we're back to green flags now. I thought there was going to be a safety car, last minute drama, something like that. But no, it was just Nicholas Latifi slowing down. We have another guy in front of us. It looks like one of the Williams maybe, which is weird because I thought the Williams were doing well. Or no, it must be one of the Alpines I'm thinking of. But yeah, lap 28. We've just started now. 2 laps left in the race. We're keeping Lewis behind us, breaking the toe. Down into turn 1 is Christian Lundgaard in the Alpine. And we're going to have DRS on this guy maybe as we head up the hill, are we? I don't think we are actually. No, we're not. Crucially, we're not, because that could have been absolutely massive. But he moves out the way for us before we head into this braking zone. And yeah, can we stick in our position? He's held up Lewis by a little bit. You can see Lewis just lost 3.5 tenths of delta, or 3.5 tenths of time to us. So hopefully that is a good sign. And we are about to cross the line to start lap 29 of 29, boys. The last lap of the race. The easiest overtaken point on this lap is down into turn 1, but we defend it nicely through turn 1. Can we get the lead here and keep the lead through turn 1 and 2? Up the hill through the DRS zone. Lewis stays behind us. Good defensive driving to park basically right in the middle there. Lewis up the inside though for this right hander. We're going around the outside. Can we stay in P1? Yes, we can again. Good defensive drive, and Lewis just not able to make a move. Nowhere is there an opportunity to overtake. We're not giving him that opportunity. But down into the hairpin now. We go a bit early on the brakes, and Lewis is up the inside. And what an overtake that is from Lewis. We miss our apex completely, miss the braking zone completely, and Lewis Hamilton is up into P1. He's snatched the place from us, but we're going to have DRS down this straight, using a lot of battery there. Lewis absolutely takes off. He's 7 tenths ahead. We're not going to be able to close a 7-tenth gap by the end of this little bit of a straight here. But as we head now to the sweeping right-hander, can we try and stick with him? Is there another opportunity to try and take the lead back from Lewis Hamilton? We just left the door open ever so slightly, and Lewis took that opportunity. You know, he was right on our tail. He tried it 1 or 2 times already in the lap to make that overtake. And we just allowed it at the wrong moment. If we would have kept them behind us there, it would have been game, set, match. And as we head now down the straight, we're going to have DRS and a bit of a slipstream, but we've got no battery. And there's the checkered flag, and Lewis takes the win on the first race of the season. We finish in P2. It was right in our fingers. We had the win in our hands, and it slipped through our fingers. I can't believe it. Cannot believe it. It was a very bittersweet moment, because you're looking at it thinking, you know, we've got a P1 and P2, but that P1 was right there for us, and we've lost it right on the last lap to that man right there, Lewis Hamilton, the GOAT. If you give him an open door, he's going to walk into it, you know what I mean, or drive into it, or park his car into it. And it was such an easy corner as well to mess up on the hairpin before the downhill left. Like the downhill left, fair play if I mess up on that, because I know I'm bad at that corner, but the hairpin just before it, to mess up on that, I was kicking myself, I really was. But it's going to be P1 and P2. Callum Ilott in P3 there on with the Red Bull. Crazy stuff. I disrespected that signing in the preseason video and even earlier in this video, but Callum Ilott, he puts it on P3 off the podium. It's a P1 and P2 for Sasuke Racing. I think that's the first ever time in 4 seasons we have had a P1 and P2. We've had some great drivers at the team. Nico Rosberg, 1-time world champion. Michael Schumacher, 7-time world champion. But we've never had a 1-2 until now. Of course, with Lewis getting P1, starting P1 on the grid, pole position, and getting the win. Max Verstappen took that fastest lap point by a whole 1.5 tenths. But yeah, some crazy results here as well. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari down in P14. Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren down in P17. Poor from those guys. Guan Yu Zhou up from P15 into P11, and Yuki Tsunoda up from P12 into P9. The one-stop strategy, like I mentioned before, is the way to go. Here's the standings. It's only one race in, not much to show in terms of the drivers. Constructors, bit interesting though. Of course, Mercedes in P3. Williams in P4 in the constructors standings. Let's see where they finish at the end of the season. That'll be very interesting to see. But there's our lovely car on the screen. You see we've put some sponsors on the side of it to try and add a bit more colour than just the silver that we had in the pre-season video. We didn't have those sponsors there in pre-season. Next up is the Imola Grand Prix in the next episode, which will be on Friday of this week, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. Last season in Imola, we did have to retire after just like 7 or 8 laps due to engine failure, which resulted in a 2-car pile-up or 3-car pile-up with the 2 Mercedes going into the back of us, and Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas retiring from that race. Hopefully Lewis does not go up the back of us ever, because, you know, pause. But hopefully Lewis does not go up the back of us in this race and wipe us both out. But yeah, you'll have to find out on Friday. Stay tuned for that next episode, boys. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll catch us next time. Take it easy.